Very much.
Okay, then Connor will be starting with you, and my first question will be going to you, and
Okay.
it's really a nice one having these conversations with you. So, what are the key considerations when building AI and AI strategy, and how that aligns with the business goals? I want to hear from you.
Yeah, sure. Well, thanks very much for having me here, and hello to the other panelists and everybody attending. So I guess maybe to give an example on that, I think when I work with companies, and those are typically in banking, insurance, and fintechs, because that's my background, although I have worked in legal and telco as well. But the main focus is always to start with the business outcome and not really obsess about the AI tool. So the purpose or my thinking there is really that AI has really got to serve the business and not the other way around. So, I think initiatives that are tech for tech's sake are usually doomed. They don't really go too far. I can give you an example that there was a bank that we were supporting recently, and they did not ask us, how can we use AI? That wasn't the question. What they actually asked was, how do we give our relationship managers an extra 10 hours a week back so that they can spend more time with the clients? Because that's really their main job, is managing the relationship with the clients. So from that perspective, then we were looking at how you could integrate more vertical AI agents into their existing workflows. So make it easy for them to be more productive and connecting into the CRMs and taking away their kind of admin and busy time and these things that were not productive to them, and being able to deliver prioritized insights and intelligence and prompts to the RMs directly focused on their customers so that they could be able to prioritize who they should be speaking to, what about and when, and giving that context and relevance to the interaction that they have with their customers. So in that way, I think a consideration is really making sure that the focus is on AI serving the business strategy, not just and not tech for tech's sake, and having AI as an enabler. So I'd say the focus should be on purpose-driven automation. I think impact is really the goal. So you can think of examples like faster response times or freeing up capacity of your employees so that they can do a better job for their customers. And it's not just about shiny algorithms.
I get what you're saying, Connor, but there's something that is very, very key from what you said, and that is, first thing, you have to understand that AI is a tool and it's there to serve the business. So basically, I think that helps give that perspective, because in some cases you might probably want to put the cart before the horse, but I think you've done good to that. I think because of the time we have, I'm going to have to move through these sessions to make sure we get the best out of everything, out from everyone, because I have a whole lot of questions that I need to get answers for.
Yeah,
and
sure
I think
thing.
next we're going to go to is Michael. Yeah, Michael, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm great, Funcho. Fantastic. Great to be here.
Okay, great to have you. Okay, so Michael, we're going to talk now. So I want to hear from you. What are some practical day-to-day operations where companies can embed AI to unlock efficiency gains? I want you to share real life examples pretty fast. Let me hear from you.
Okay, so before the examples, I think I'll add to what you just said in the last comment of AI being a tool. I think about it, I won't say a little differently, but slightly deeper than that.
Yeah.
I think that AI is a capability that helps you to create the tool, and it's not the tool in itself, right?
Okay.
So with that capability, you can create a lot of tools that help both efficiency and effectiveness. We always leave out the effectiveness bit of it. When we talk about efficiency, it's about probably things that have a known input and output. You're trying to, play around with that ratio. But when you look at the work of, let's say, a knowledge worker, like a doctor or a researcher or someone else, it actually makes them more, effective in what they do. So I'll first start within, the context of the domain, which I'm very familiar with, because anytime you talk about this, concept, you have to talk about it within the context of a domain. Now, that domain is, enforcement, electronic enforcement, where we help governments around the world to enforce whatever policies that they put in place. Now, human beings are notorious for not following the rules. So because of that, thousands of violations or even millions of violations are generated on a daily basis. It's not humanly possible to be able to process all those violations, and imagine the kind of human resource that you need to be able to do so. But using AI as a tool, you're able to process most of those violations automatically, because they allow you to become much more efficient than you would be. In some instances, there are even cases where it's not even possible to do what you do without AI. So it's not a case of efficiency, of improving efficiency. It's a case of
just,
not being
just feeling impossible to just
exactly
get the quantum, the amount of data that's being pushed your way.
Correct, especially when you come into our main meat, which is computer vision. Using computer vision to be able to detect when things have happened. You can't keep someone there looking at it and all that. So there's a huge I would say even a new space that is being created by the capability that is brought in by AI. But to round up the question, I look at it in two domains when you look at it in efficiency. When you look at the subject of efficiency, one from a positive domain and the other from a concern domain. So when we look at the impact of efficiency, we look at things like healthcare, what AI is doing with healthcare, shortening the time of drug discovery, improving patient to doctor ratios in developing countries and all that, helping in the improving the supply of food. That's amazing. And we're seeing that happen, in many industries. But also on the concern dimension, you are seeing AI being used in things like cybercrime, in warfare, in things like that. That's also efficiency in some sort, but that's not the kind of efficiency that helps us. Let me put it that way. So yes, those are some practical examples of how efficiency is positive and efficiency is also negative.
Yeah, definitely. Like I always say, there are always two sides to a coin. So, but also let me go. Next question goes to Innocent Charles. Innocent, how are you doing? Are you with us? Hi, Innocent.
Hi.
Good. Innocent, I can see your face at the moment. Yeah, your camera is off. Good. Yes, I can see Innocent over here. Okay, so Innocent, I'm thinking here. So how can companies determine which areas of their operations will benefit most from AI integration? So for instance, what are the metrics that you're looking at? What kind of processes are we looking that can be handled by AI?
Yeah, so there are a lot of areas. Am I audible, please?
Yes, you are audible. I can hear you loud and clear.
Perfect. So there are a lot of areas that AI could actually be used in businesses. But I think the first strategy, the first metrics you have considered the strategy. Do companies have the strategy? Because the strategy is where the objective of the business has. So the business will have the objective, and the strategy should actually answer the question to that. And also, actually, you need to assess or to identify the pinpoint where there's a lot of repetitive tasks or maybe the tasks that takes
Innocent, sorry to cut you. I think you might have to speak up a little bit more so we can hear you very, very clearly. I think some people might also have the same challenge. Yes, go on.
Okay, so now am I audible?
Much better. Great.
Okay, perfect. So I was actually saying about there are a lot of places where AI could actually be used in businesses, but I think the companies should start with the strategy because that's what aligns the business goal to the AI. I think at the end of the day, AI is just a tool or capability, so it should align with the business objective. And also to identify the pinpoint, or maybe the task that takes a lot of time-consuming tasks. For example, maybe the HR industry could be read resumes, or maybe talent spend a lot of time to read resumes and read to the system. So and also the other key metrics is actually data availability to that task because you can have the time-consuming task, but there is data available because AI needs some kind of input data so as to function well. So data availability and also the kind of task that it takes a lot of time, is it repetitive, and also do you have the objective, and does strategy align? That the strategy makes AI align to that objective.
Yeah, awesome. So, of course, from what you're saying here now, just in the summary here, for some people, you understand that there's some tasks that could be really, really time consuming, just rigorous. It's almost like doing the same thing, repetitive things. That is a perfect example of something you can automate. There's no need burning man hours on those particular things. Input, output, we know what we're looking for. We have the parameters that you're checking either against standard procedures or of standard outcomes that we're looking at. I'm sure Michael will agree in some of these cases. And so that those are things, that's a perfect example of something that you can basically, of course, automate and then, of course, channel through AI. So I think the next question here, I will be going to Diana. Diana, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, Funsho. How are you?
Very well. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. The next question goes to you. And so what are the most common roadblocks businesses face when adopting AI, and how can they overcome them? Because you have situations, a lot of people want to just delve into AI. Oh, you know what? That's like a go-to thing. Let me just go. But then what are the challenges? What are these roadblocks there? And especially how can they overcome them? Over to you, Diana.
Great. Thank you, Funsho. First to say that I'm very happy to be here having this conversation. I think it's, well, I don't even need to think. We all know how relevant it is to our current situation and the future of basically the entire globe. So when it comes to the roadblocks, I like to say garbage in, garbage out. That's the first one.
Good.
When it comes to AI, it's all about access to trainable data.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have data that is clean, standardized, connected, and in the most ideal scenario, housed in a data lake for a full operational view, then you're essentially asking your AI to hallucinate. And we've all heard about AI hallucinating a lot. That's when there's a lack of data to connect the dots that are needed. So that's a big one. That's a big one that I've seen across different countries, across different sectors, across the continent. Another common pitfall, which has already been raised by Connor, is basically falling into the AI hype trap. Everyone is talking about AI and we want to quickly adopt it without a very clear problem definition. You must clearly identify the business problems that you want to solve. I think Innocent did give a good model around how you go about identifying that problem. And what I can do is bring it home a little bit by giving an example of what we've done at Leadway. At Leadway, with our assurance business, we say that we are in the business of paying claims. If you don't pay claims, then we lose trust in the market. And so what we did is we applied AI to our claims registration process. Now, what did that look like? Previously, claims registration has been a process that has taken days sometimes because some forms are handwritten, they're messy. It takes a while for the team to read through all these different claim forms. So we deployed a combination of a bot and AI to automate the process. So the bot opens and fetches the emails that have been sent to us, while the AI is what reads the attachments, extracts the relevant information, and then registers the claim with the claims team. This cuts registration time from hours to days to just mere minutes. It's not a flashy application, but it's deeply valuable to the business. And that's been our main lesson. Start with use cases that are close to the ground, measurable and scalable. And that helps build internal trust, because trust is a big, big issue when it comes to technology adoption. And it gives you the credibility to do more ambitious things, because when it comes to AI adoption as well, it's also quite expensive. It's a quite expensive venture for any business to go into.
So, but that's something I always say. Yes, AI, yes, it could be expensive, but the thing is this: you need to identify, like you said, the problem you're trying to solve, and then understand the cost benefits that you're looking at there. You don't necessarily, in some cases, I would say, you don't want to deploy AI in cases where you look like you're killing ants with a sledgehammer. So you need to understand that in places of justifying this, it must be commensurate with the business gains that you're expecting in that particular case. So I think that's pretty good. And I say this. Whatever systems you're going to develop or you're going to use there would always be would only be as smart as the data that you basically affect the system.
About that
So
in a
data is key. And that's why I say a lot of companies who are looking into do this, the first thing before you even go into this is, do you have a data warehouse? Have you been able to amass data over time? And is it clean, structured data? Because we understand how these things work. So that's good. I think my next question is going to go to Andrea. Andrea, how you doing? Andrea, you there?
I'm great. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can see you. It's a
Awesome.
very one here. Okay, so I want to hear from you. What are the just tell me some low-hanging fruits that AI business applications can or AI applications that businesses can start with for quick wins. Like, you know what? These are quick things that AI can do for you. Yes, practical things.
You know, across the other speakers, you touched on so many things already and gave some amazing examples. So maybe what I do, I look at it from two angles, right? So one is like the three categories where you can do things, and then some practical, what are some of the solutions you can use? Is that okay?
Good.
Yeah. Okay. So if you
Yeah.
look at the first, I think Connor and Diana, they spoke quite about the automation, right? Which is the automation of documentation and data inputs and so on. And I think one of the great examples which we saw around was McKinsey. They created their own, obviously, large language model called Lily, where they uploaded information from the last 100 years about their customers, right? So you might think, okay, I am not a McKinsey, very difficult for me to build my own large language model. So for small startups like myself or some people on the call, you can use, for example, tools like Notebook LM by Google, where you upload all your documentation. You can use mind mapping, and then it gives you all the information about the processes, the customers, whatever you need. So I think that one is obviously the data inputs and information which you hold as a company. I think that's first, because a lot of gets lost in translation, right? Second, and that's already in the data management. Then the optimization, I think Connor mentioned it, and Diane as well, find the use case you want to do. I think one of the very practical example is, before you decide what you want to do, run a workshop, ask every single employee to map all the tasks they're doing, and then let them do research powered by AI and say, which of these tasks could you automate? Which of these tasks you augment? And if we do it, how many hours do we save? How much of efficiency can we cause? And then work and see if this is something which is worthwhile for your business and for your P&L and for your structure to automate and augment. I think that's, so one is data, second is augmentation. And then I think that, customer facing interactions is obviously a second really great thing which you can automate today. In the past, you would need long agency briefs. Today, you don't need it. You can use Claude agents very simply to do research for you, to do posts for you, to run campaigns for you. You can use AI obviously for creating of the campaigns as well. So I think for small and big businesses, there is a multitude of things you can do, not only for the big ones, but for the small ones. Now, the practical example is, not everybody can build their own models, and everybody's worried about the data. So it's very critical that if you really decide to use it, even for your small business, buy a professional subscriptions, like on OpenAI for ChatGPT, guarantees that your data stays. You're still consuming the APIs, but your data stays with you, right? So you don't need to build your own retrieval augmented generation, but you do that. And I think that what I wanted to say, one more thing, which is obviously research areas, right? And product development. I think that anybody who worked in product here on the screen or who is on the call knows that doing products in the past would be 3 to 6 months of research, another 4 months of ideation, another 6 months of testing and development. So you would be 2 years in before you got anything out of the door, right? Today, with these tools, you can research, use synthetic data for testing, use solutions like Lovable or Bolt to build very fast solution for quick testing. So this, I think, is a really revolutionary way, because we can develop, test, fail, and succeed super fast.
Awesome. That's great. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Andrea. I think I'll move to the next question. And these questions are just basically establishing the basic building blocks that we have for AI. And so that we understand exactly how this functions and also how this could be implemented. So I think next question is going to go to Dariush. Darius Lakab, and that's going to be how can AI optimize supply chain, customer service, or HR processes in ways traditional methods can't? Darius, yes, over to you.
Thank you so much. And first of all, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be part of this panel with such a esteemed group. So really grateful for the invite from Kaizen Academy. I would say that today you still need to go back to the basics when you're thinking about process automation. Connor very eloquently elaborated on this in the very beginning, that AI, including but not limited to Gen AI, which is the cool thing right now. AI is ultimately a way, a mean to the end, but it's not the end. We all need to actually start with the end, which means today we have new tools, we have new capabilities, we have new opportunities to actually bring and recognize the return on investment, the ROI, on the items that we wanted to automate in the past. Now, I'll give you a couple of examples. For example, in the supply chain, if you need to ultimately make a prediction or make a decision, you may want to resort to traditional AI to achieve that. A few years ago, it might have been very, very expensive to actually train that model. With the new advancements in AI and all the investments that is going in there, now the cost of training models, training traditional AI models, is actually going down. So now maybe that ROI is justified. So maybe it is time to revisit some of those. If we are thinking about generative AI has this very interesting ability to be able to communicate to us human beings in the way that us human beings, we communicate to one another in a more empathetic and in a more understandable tone. So now we can truly automate parts of the customer care, parts of the HR related processes from an interface level perspective. We can automate our business processes because now AI, to some degree, can actually reason about the world that it is in, data that is seeing, and the environment that is operating on. So I would say we now have much more capabilities and much more tools to revisit the things that we always wanted to do, but could never justify the ROI on it. The justification of the ROI is now more possible through usage of AI.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Darius. I think with these sessions that we've had now, these questions, we've firmly established a foundation for our conversations going forward. And yes, we have just about 30 minutes to make sure that we cover what's left. So what I would say is we would speed things up a little bit, because that's how this session is going to go. We just basically increase the tempo a little bit. So right now, we're going to be taking out direct questions, and yes, we take direct answers in this case, and we'll be focusing more on AI in Africa and developing economies. So it's more like more like a speed track that we'll be doing here. So you know what? We push the questions pretty fast, just hit nail on the head, and then we move. So it's just like very, very key access points, key points that we'll just take here. So going forward, we're going to increase the tempo a little bit. Are we all good with that? Awesome. Good, Diana. We're good. So next question goes to Connor. So we'll do this really, really we'll speed this up a little bit. So how can AI help bridge infrastructure and logical gaps in regions with limited digital or physical infrastructure? Straight bullet points. Let's hear this and let's move.
Sure. So I think Africa's got a great advantage there because it can leapfrog, basically. So I think when you combine AI capabilities with mobile first or cloud native tools, then you can skip the infrastructure or the heavy infrastructure. So then the capabilities become a bridge, and you work with what's available: mobile networks, cloud APIs, GPS, and you can see AI chatbots delivering credit checks to farmers via WhatsApp, or drone logistics companies. They're delivering malaria drugs to rural, remote places. So I think it's already happening.
Yeah. So I think that's a good thing about Africa is there's a template to follow. You can just follow that template. It's already working there. You can just leverage on that. Very well. So next question goes to Michael. And Michael, so would you say, is Africa catching up with the AI revolution at the same pace as the rest of the world? Michael, over to you.
The answer is obvious. It's a yes and a no at the same time, right? So there are dimensions that is a no, obviously.
Okay.
When we talk about infrastructure, when we talk about, model training, I don't think you have any, I would say, LLM that is trained on the African market and African data. So in that sense, there's a no. But to say yes to some of this, Connor has mentioned it already. In terms of knowledge and in terms of how do I put it, creating ecosystems and communities being built around AI, there's a lot of momentum that is being gained in there. So even when these companies don't reside in Africa, they have a lot of talent that work for them from Africa. So
Okay.
the answer is mixed, both yes and no. In terms of infrastructure, no. In terms of research, no. But in terms of the industry, the ecosystem, yes, we are abreast with
They're
it.
mostly around the awareness, yes, but of course, Africa's always had the challenge, which we believe in the coming years will go away, and that's always been an infrastructural gap, an infrastructure deficit, and that's something that we expect with people like, of course, this generation are really, really bold and looking at, of course, we're investing also in the ecosystem. So I think these are things that we need to address specifically. So the next question, that's for Innocent. Innocent, yeah, so I want to know, what are the unique opportunities and barriers shaping the continent's AI trajectory? Yes, localized to us.
Yeah, thanks very much. So as Michael said, there are a lot of barriers of AI in Africa. So things like infrastructure, we don't have access to high, very good computing GPUs, and also there is also lack of data. Because most of the data, most of African data are not there in the internet. So like it becomes very challenging to obtain this model that have contextual understanding to our culture. And also, apart from also barrier, there's also opportunities. So we have to agree that now that AI in Africa is still growing. So when you compare to 10 years ago and now, we are somehow in the good positions. So, for example, there's a lot of growing tech hubs, for example, in South Africa, in Kenya, also in Tanzania, like these young folks are really trying to catch up and do starts. But also, there is a lot of platform, for example, Zindi, like it actually hosts a lot of competitions about data science competition, and I've seen a lot of people, a lot of young folks trying to solve those challenges. So yeah, and also there is of course mobile connectivity when compared to 10 years ago or 5 years ago. So somehow internet is trying to penetrate, and we have seen a lot of places there is a lot of internet and also connectivity. So I think that's major factors for AI growth in Africa. Yeah.
So thank you very much. I know the internet penetration, I think that's really happening at the moment. And I would say, yes, at a rapid pace. I'd say, for instance, in Nigeria here, we have, it's a fact, basically that's growing a whole lot there. But I would always still say that one of the things from a business perspective, and business owners or business thought leaders who are listening to this need to pay more attention to your data. I think it's very, very important to data gathering, because we have so many situations. The AI can only be powered by data. And that's one thing people really need to understand. So to the next question, Diana, back to you. So of course, how do you see AI shifting the strategic priorities of businesses globally? And of course, what implications would that have for African companies? Diana, over to you.
Great, thank you. I don't know if I can actually add anything new to what has already been said by the panelists, because they've covered it.
A whole lot, but in your own words.
Yes, absolutely. So we've all seen it. We see it every day. There's always a new model out. There's always a new product out. AI has come in and has transformed business models completely. It's driving hyper-personalized customer engagement. I mean, I'm now addicted to how the algorithm just recommends things that I like to me out there with engaging on the different social media platforms because it's relevant to me. And we're seeing this in sectors like ours at Leadway. And so what we've done at Leadway is we've built a data lake. And now we are layering on analytics so that we can have AI-led personalization in building out our insurance products, because we know how low the penetration for insurance is on the continent. And one way we can overcome this low penetration is by making insurance affordable, accessible, but also personalized to the individual so that it's highly, highly relevant to the individual. But beyond that, the implications for African companies, Connor already touched on the energy gap. And that's huge. That's really huge. But you know what I've been seeing, the trend that I've been seeing is that there are beautiful private-public partnerships that are coming up. We've seen Google just launch their AI center in Ghana the other day. In Kenya, I'm Kenyan. In Kenya, we have Safaricom that's really driving AI adoption and enabling this by building out data centers that will allow businesses to be able to process their data in real time and make decisions in real time. And so if we can have those at a larger scale, then we start closing on these gaps. However, just like Michael said, we start with what we have.
For now, just for now.
Exactly,
Okay.
because
Yeah.
we can't afford to wait for the conditions to be perfect. So let's start with what we have, what's accessible to us. We don't
then
have
that-
to use our own LLMs at this point, but we can utilize what's out there already in the market to start the living process.
Awesome. So, I think let's move a little bit. Let's move to Andrea a little bit. And so, Andrea, I'm going to be asking. So, what distinguishes AI adoption in emerging markets versus more mature economies? So, just pretty fast. Let's just hear that. Yeah. Andrea?
I hear your question, I go and I forget to unmute myself. This is like, happens every time. So
Okay.
I will try not to answer your question so much because I think, there is very little data about some of these adoption tools, right? I think if you talk very high level, then you would say the Western countries focus really augmentation optimization, right? The less countries like, or continents like Africa and Latin America, they go much more into financial inclusion, agriculture using computer vision, satellite imaging and so on. But I think that we should look at it slightly different from an opportunity perspective, right? Diana mentioned large language models, right? I lived in South Africa for 9 years. You have 11 native languages. Many other countries, if it's Kenya, if it's DRC, everywhere. Opportunities is creating and training large language models on these languages. I think it's number one, which it's a great opportunity for continent like Africa. And second, I believe that, you mentioned also on the satellite accessibility, right? And connectivity. And I think another opportunity is on-device AI application. Because today, obviously, the satellite the internet accessibility will not be there overnight, even though some countries like Kenya driving the force and are obviously super great. But having AI on device, it's another opportunity for the continent where we would enable a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of ideas to leapfrog ahead of what Western world is doing. So I think that innovation challenge and gap, it's a great opportunity. So maybe instead of looking where they are behind and what the difference is what opportunities does it offer for the people who are in the different companies and what they're doing, because I think the other speakers touched on the same topic from different angles, so I don't want to repeat what they said.
Yeah, that's the idea. Okay, so thank you so much, Andrea. I think I will move over to Darius. So Darius, this is to you. So yeah, the US is home to many of the world's leading AI companies. Of course, how are these businesses, how are they navigating the balance between innovation and regulation? Over to you, Darius.
First of all, I actually think that the balance between innovation and regulation and the tension that actually happens between two is actually a good thing. I actually see that as a positive. I think that brings a lot of balance to what we all need to do, regardless of the domain and the vertical that we are in. I happen to spend some time in the financial services sector where the tension between innovation and regulation is actually, I would say, you will see that on a daily basis. But I learned to actually appreciate that tension there, because it actually helps us do the right thing and do the good thing for our users ultimately. But what I would say is that anytime that in the US we are thinking about building a new service or a new product, either explicitly or implicitly, We think global, we build for a global rollout, but we launch locally. And we create a separation between the actual folks who are basically running the or interfacing the regulators and the team that is actually building the product. And that group in between, their job is to get all of these requirements from the regulators and from all the entities that ultimately govern the product, distill them, bucketize them, to use an AI word, cluster them into different clusters, and then come back to the product team with, hey, these are the 7 things that you actually do need to build, and this is the deep depth by which you need to build it. I will call that one the toughest common denominator for each one of those buckets. And by the time that the product team we actually build it, then launching it locally in multiple locales becomes quite a bit easier and more straightforward.
Awesome. So I think also those next question is also directed to Darius. And that's from your vantage point in the US. What key lessons or best practices can African companies adopt when integrating AI into business operations, especially around scaling and governance?
I would say number one, think global, build global, assume that you are going to be viral and everybody in the world is going to use your product or service. Have that mindset from day one. I think having that mindset would actually allow you to build the product or the service in a totally kind of different way. That's number one. Number two, I would say do not be afraid of leapfrogging where the industry is going. Do not think that you actually still need to go through some steps. No, there is no rules. There is no process that says you actually do need to follow the steps that you didn't follow a few years ago. Leapfrog by all means. In fact, jump in front of where everybody else is. Be bold, make it happen, push it through.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Darius. That's really, really, really nice. So we're going to speed things up a little bit more. We'll move more into practical implementation and use cases. And I think the next question here will be going to Connor Blake. And so Connor, I want to hear, what are the most common challenges businesses face when implementing AI for operational efficiency, and how can they overcome them?
Yeah, I think there's 3 words here. There's data, culture, and return on investment. The panel's talked about data, so I won't go too further into that, other than to say I don't think it's sensible to wait for perfect data, but I would say start with available data. I think from a culture perspective, there's the fear factor. Employees worry about AI replacing them. So leaders have to be storytellers. You have to frame the AI capabilities as kind of digital buddies and enablers for employees. And I think lastly, when you're looking at deploying AI capabilities, just make sure that ROI is measurable from day one. So start small, but scale fast, but only once you've proved the value. That's what I'd say.
Very true. Very, very true. Because a lot of times people trying to scale at the wrong time. You haven't yet established, you haven't yet at least gotten the MVP you're looking for. You've not been able to establish that you're actually solving that problem. So that's very, very, very important. So next part, I'll say, next question is going to Michael. So Michael, what are some practical day-to-day operations where companies can embed AI to unlock real efficiency gains? We've talked about a few, but I just want to hear in your own words, coming from your perspective. I want to hear from you.
Okay, so I'll give 2 examples, and one is from my experience of agriculture, right, and being in rural areas. I came to understand some foundational truths, and this is funny because my business or my space was agriculture then, but this relates to healthcare in there. So having stayed with, rural Africa, I'll put it that way, I came to realize that one of the biggest factors affecting the quality of healthcare is per capita income. So I don't think there's any country in the world where the per capita income is low and healthcare is good. Not possible. What that means is good healthcare is not affordable. Let's put it that way. It's not possible. Then recently, I think over the last year, I've seen some work by some guys, I think they call it Our Doctor and all that, where they're trying to bring in agentic AI to bridge at least the first response gap in healthcare using WhatsApp to those very low income earners. As Connor mentioned, ROI is very obvious for that. It really solves the problem in there. And really, for now, that's the only solution. This has been in the thinking or in the minds of many people in the space for a long time. But it's only until now that all the pieces fit together, the availability of large language models, the availability of agentic AI, and all that is being fitted together into a product that delivers that ROI immediately. That is absolutely brilliant. Then the second one is there's also, another startup I'm involved with that is looking at food waste and, restaurant efficiency. And they are really, pushing to have AI in between, because you'd see a continent where there's a lot of hunger and there's a lot of, starvation. But at the same time, there's close to, I can't remember the figure now, probably 70 to $700 billion worth of food waste annually. So the problem is real. How do you connect these two things? So those are two practical examples where, if I borrow, Connor's words, the ROI is right in front of you. How are you going to solve it? And that's
in the room, actually. Okay,
Yep.
Awesome. Good. So I'll go to the next one here. Our next question here is for Andrea. We've been talking about this. We've said this over and over today, but I want you to pick one particular one particular business operation you have been vested in, that where AI has significantly improved the efficiency. So one operation.
So I was thinking about this question when I saw it, and I decided that I will give you an example which is actually connected and was created by Stephen Bartlett. Many of you know him because he's half Nigerian and half British. He was born in Botswana, and he is the CEO of Diary of a CEO, right? And Flight Fight. So he did something, and I have the stats in front of me. I think it's a perfect example how AI can significantly improve efficiency on his business. So he launched a 60-day company-wide challenge. He gave his team's education and support how to build their own AI agent and offered the price of $20,000. Across these 60 days, they've been coaching them and giving them support. The results were far beyond automation. So his own team internally developed 48 new AI tools. They unlocked 1.8 million in annual efficiency gains, and they freed up 65,000 hours of employee time. And I think it goes back to, and it's great because we are on a podcast streaming from Nigeria, and he is Nigerian. So it's a really great. I think what Michael was saying. Every industry has his specific examples, right? And I think what you can do in your own company is taking what Steve Bartlett did, do it to yourself, and identify these specific problem statement, which Connor and Diana was talking about as well, where you can automate, because there is so many and you just need to do the research. But I think his is really brilliant. Teach your own teams, empower your teams, give them a price, and they help you to evolve your company and identify the processes which are relevant to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So let's go back to the building blocks, and I'll ask this. This is going to Innocent. So Innocent, for a small business owner, let's just say an SME in this case, or traditional business that you would see. So, we talked about this earlier, but yes, you've listened to this webinar, and yes, you're interested. But where do you think, or what would you recommend that they start their AI journey to see quick tangible growth? Remember, we also talked about focusing on the problem that you're looking at, making sure it's solving that problem. But then, yes, you've gotten that problem you're looking at, but then you want to go the AI way. So what do you recommend? How do you think that person should start? Bearing in mind that they've understood the problem they're solving very well.
Yeah, that's very important. So for me, actually, I always say that businesses or companies, for this case, small businesses, should start small. So you should start small and actually keep scaling over time. because the most problem in AI isn't about technicality. The most problem in AI is not about technicality about AI. It's about people. It's about the other executives. It's about the employee and other engineers to actually buying the project. So you don't need to start with a long term. You should actually start small and keep scaling over time. And actually, for me, I always recommend chatbot could be one of the projects that help people to buy in and to be motivated to be inspired, and from that, you could actually plan the long term after that. So start small, make sure that you have the small results happen, and other people are very interested. The other founders, the other executives are very interested. I mean, the board members are also very interested. And from that, keep scaling, keep scaling, keep scaling over time. So we should make sure everyone is buying the solution well.
So from what you said, a chatbot is a good place to start, finding where that can basically interact with of course, so the users in that case. But then it's also very important, like you said earlier, garbage in, garbage out. If you're going to have such an interface, then you need to train it well. Training to adhere with standards that you expect, because at the end of the day, that's why you have AI there, to ensure that you're always having top quality output at every point in time. So I think it's also very important while you're doing that small, you're having all of the, but you need to, of course, make sure that you are basically training your AI well according to standards. That's very, very good. I'll say thank you so much, Innocent. I think our next question here is going to Diana. Yes, I want to hear from you. Yeah, so that's goes around the HR, finance, customer service, or supply chain areas. I want to hear, how can AI improve internal functions, such as, of course, what I mentioned there, HR, customer service, and supply chain management. Yes, because yes, that lead way you mentioned earlier, but I think you have a little more time here to just, you know what, just hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, and I believe Dayush had already delved into this actually, and I thought he did a great job. But what I can do is just add more color to it. So all these functions, HR, finance, customer service, supply chain management, and I believe even Andrea did touch on customer service or customer facing departments. They have a lot of data and historic data that's actually been stored over years. And that creates a perfect conditions for AI to actually thrive. So some of the work I've done previously, I did consult for Seamless HR. And with Seamless HR, they are an AI-led HR system. And what they did was use AI to optimize recruitment. And we see this with a lot of organizations across the world right now. In fact, everyone is being told to optimize their CVs with keywords, because it's AIs that are actually picking out which CVs they're shortlisted, right? So that's an example for HR to just streamline your recruitment process. On the payroll side, you can actually also use AI to detect anomalies and flag any discrepancies in allowances or taxes before they become compliance issues. That's beautiful as well. On the Zitova side, that was also an AI business that was in the supply chain management side of things. And what AI helped us to do was identify micro trends in supplier performance, detect bottlenecks, and even have recommender models in there so that approvals would flow faster. That enabled businesses to always have, optimal supplies for their businesses. And when it's optimal, it means that you're not overstocked, but you're also not understocked. It's just right, so that you're operating at an efficient level.
Awesome.
On the customer service side, what we've done at Leadway is we've actually used AI-powered voice biometrics. For us, we must have proof of life verification for annuitants. And so it helps us solve, a decades-old challenge where we required physical presence. We needed to go and make sure that this person is actually alive, who's keeping on receiving all these benefits. But now at least they can actually just be on the phone, and you're able to tell that, okay, this is Funsho, and he is alive and well, and will keep paying out his annuitants benefits, right? Which has resulted in over 90% reduction in unnecessary provisions for deceased annuitants. I think Yeah, I can stop there.
Yeah,
Just
I think I have to move because I need to move really, really fast.
Yeah.
The question and answer sessions that we have, I want us to get wrapped up in the next 10 minutes on that, so we can just get some questions from the audience. So in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to really skim through a few things, and we just got 2 more areas to touch on, and that will be around leadership and talent. And then the other part will be around the risk, ethics and governance part. I would want to focus a little bit more on the risk ethics side, because I think that's also something that is very, very important in what we're doing. So for leadership and talent, I would probably just, have like 3 questions I'm going to push in this particular category, just so that we can get a holistic view on this. So I think I will first, I'll start with Michael here. And so what kind of leadership and cross-functional collaboration is required to successfully integrate AI into business operations?
Okay, I'll be quick. So first is culture.
Good.
And you can't emphasize this enough. Culture is everything. Tech is not culture. So even when you look at it on the leadership side, you must strive to build the culture that can support whatever innovation that you're trying to do. The next is always think cross-functional. I'll give a classic example. There is an AI framework called Crew AI. And in Crew AI, you build a crew of different agents that collaborate to do things. Those agents could be legal, finance, ops, and all that. And it's exactly the same thing when setting up. Consider the organization as those legs or those arms, knowing that this is a cross-functional effort. I think Diana mentioned it. You must build trust, you must engage, you must carry people along, you must ensure proper stakeholder management. And then that will build, trust with both the organization and the leadership to be able to excel at this. Strive for quick wins, low-hanging fruits, things with high ROIs that you can demonstrate credibility and demonstrate capability of what this can do for the business to get the business excited about the possibilities, and then integrate that into the culture. That's the only way to succeed.
Good.
I think that was quick enough.
Yeah, that was, I think, well put. That was apt. So I'll go. Next question goes to Connor. So I want to know this here, because we've got HR practitioners who will be looking at this. So what key skills do employees and managers need to develop to work effectively with AI-driven operations?
Yeah, like it's a big question, but I'll try and keep a very short answer really as much as I can. So I think really there's a fusion skills here. So there's a mix of technical understanding, process thinking, and human judgment. So for employees, I think it's good that they know how AI works at the high level and get comfortable with data, and then familiar with using AI tools in their workflows. I think for managers, maybe a little more challenging because they need to really work on critical thinking and ethical awareness, and also be able to redesign operations with AI in mind. So from my point of view, it's not about AI versus humans, it's humans with AI, and it's that shift in the mindset that is needed, and that's the real skill.
Yeah, awesome. Because one of the challenges you see with AI adoption or change management or AI adoption in most cases with people is, certainly in some organizations, is that you think that, yes, the AI is coming to replace the humans a lot of times. So a lot of times, I say this is the same thing with technology. I don't say technology is going to replace human intervention, but that what it's more of people who use technology will replace people who don't use technology. The idea in what you're doing here is you're trying to scale to be more efficient, be able to get, what cumbersome tasks and then, run them more efficiently. So I think that those people-related challenges are really, really real. And it's something that needs to be addressed. And that starts with people understanding where AI comes in, understanding what exactly you're trying to achieve, the problems you're solving, how efficiently you can solve those problems. Yes, sir. So next question here, that's also going to be going to Diana again here. So I just mentioned a little bit on that. But when we're talking about people-related problems or challenges, I want to hear from your perspective, what's the biggest people-related? Just give me one related challenge when implementing AI in operations, and how can leaders address this resistance or fear of job displacement? Over to you.
I think it's actually a fear of irrelevance that we're facing. Nobody wants to feel like they are losing relevancy in the workplace. We see it even when new colleagues join the organization. So this isn't a technology issue, it's a trust and identity issue. And what we've learned as we've integrated AI into the workplace is that the integration process is 30% technology and 70% psychology. And what we've done is assure people that AI isn't out to replace anyone, but what it's replacing are the repetitive pain points. You know, we all suffer from repetitive tasks that really bore the daylight out of us. That's what AI is coming in to do. And I think all the panelists have touched on freeing up employee time. I love the example that Andrea gave of Stephen Bartlett. He's actually one of my favorite podcast hosts, Diary of a CEO. If you can empower your teams, then they will produce the most beautiful work for you. And how you do this is through use cases. We've touched on that. Governing with transparency, have the guardrails that are clear for everyone to understand, very simple, don't complicate it. And then pace with intent. Don't pressurize people. Do it slowly, do it gradually, but you know where you're going. That will help you get to where you're going actually faster than trying to just force things. Finally, yeah, AI is not going anywhere, but neither are people. So that's a reality.
Yeah, I keep saying this, it's not about working hard, it's about working smart. And that's the smart way to get it done. Okay, so we're getting to the final lap. This is the last dash on this particular part there. And so in this case here, I will be asking these questions and everybody just has just 1 minute to get through the answers that I will be asking for the questions I will be asking. Next question goes to Andrea. And for Andrea, I'm going to ask this, what low-hanging AI opportunities are businesses overlooking today? Over to you, Andrea.
People.
Yeah.
Everybody's talking about technology. Nobody is focusing on the people. That's the lowest fruit you have. I don't care about all the different modules and whatever you can do and hardware, software, infrastructure, doesn't matter. The lowest hanging fruit you have in your company is to educating your people. And they don't do it. I think that what the previous speakers were saying, fear of, what did you say, Diane? Fear of not being,
being irrelevant.
Fear of irrelevance combined with lack of curiosity and arrogance. It's the worst thing which can happen to us. So for me, it's the people. That's the lowest one. The tech will not solve for itself. But I see it every day with my company Brain Gym, where we train people and educate people on AI, that there is such a massive gap in that space. And I must disagree with Diane that I definitely feel that we need to start to have discussion about minimum guaranteed income for people, because people's job will be automated and augmented, and companies today do not have sufficient strategy how to upskill and reskill. If you eliminate 2,000 jobs, what do you do with the 2,000 workers? Do you fire them? Do you expand the business so big that you still need them? Do you reskill them, upskill them? How do you do it? And I think that's a really massive issue. So it's congratulations to all the people who joined today, because they're curious enough to want to know what is this whole AI about, right? But people.
Awesome, that's great. So the next question is what's been on the mind of some people. A whole lot of people have had this fear, and that is going to innocence. So a lot of people have expressed fears of AI malfunction and the threat of AI to the entire human race. For some of us who grew up watching Terminator, we understand what that is. So, but then, so what do you think? Do you think this fear is well-founded or is it unfounded? Innocence? I want to hear from you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. That's a very great question. And there have been a lot of discussions around that, whether AI is going to outsmart human or not. But for me, I always take it positive, and because when we try to check how AI is being evolved from where it started up to now, we have a lot of advancing features like reasoning the models, tool going, and actually having access to the external data. So it's actually becoming more advanced and advanced. So my take is actually, I believe it's going to happen. I mean, AI as the times keep going, they're going to be more advanced. So I don't know what's happening in the future, but I'm very optimistic that maybe, of course, we're actually going to happen. We are going to have this AI that's more smarter than human. And actually, it's not for bad, it's for good, because I think we human, we are not meant to work. I think we have a lot of things to do. So things like maybe having times with the family, spend time with the family, and also.
So for instance, spend up time with the family. Yeah. So, but there's something I would say that's autonomous AI in that particular case. We're light years, my opinion, we're light years away from that so far. All you can say full, But the thing is this, you also remember that even while AI is evolving, humans are also evolving, control systems are evolving. This is a threat that is there, and of course, we would constantly always find ways, of course, to mitigate this. But I think it's a threat that you would hear. Like I mentioned earlier, the likes of people who grew up watching some particular movies that I talked about this. But it's something that, of course, as we grow, as we move in this place, we would always pay attention to that. The next question here that we're going to go into, I'm going to be asking just 3 more minutes, and that's going to be, next one's going to Diana, and that's how should companies in Africa approach AI governance, especially with the absence of strict regulations in many jurisdictions. Remember that in a lot of environments, even in countries there, you don't necessarily have specific laws available. Yes, talking around things that AI can and cannot do. So right now it's mostly unregulated, especially because either the laws are outdated or in some situations that way. So what do you think here?
Yeah, good question. You're absolutely right. Right now, AI is highly unregulated across the continent. I'll modify what Connor said. He said think global, build global. I'll say for this particular one, you must localize it. We already have data protection policies in place in the countries. And when it comes to AI, we've all said it starts with the data. So you must look at the data protection policies and then look at within your own organization, what needs human oversight, which decisions need human oversight, and what access are you granting these different AI models? Because you don't want proprietary information out there in public. We saw ChatGPT, OpenAI recently said that, hey, you are not protected. Whatever you're sharing with ChatGPT can be accessed by anyone, right?
With
so it's private.
The right prompts.
Yes, with the right prompts, exactly. So that made everyone stop and go like, okay, I've been uploading all this records. I've been oversharing, right? So you must put in place the guardrails that will protect your proprietary data in your organization. And if you don't do that, then start building your own local LLM or LQMs if you have the resources and capacity to do that. Because people will use the AI models, whether we like it or not. People are already using them, and they'll continue using them. So you must just outline when it can be used, when human oversight plugs in, and when data protection is in place.
Awesome. So we have 2 more questions that we're going to be doing, and the last 2 questions, and there's one special question I'm going to ask the last speaker, just on a final note. But the next question here is going to Connor. And Connor, that's so what's one piece of advice you would give to business leaders looking to make AI a core part of their operations in the next 12 to 24 months?
Yes. Again, another huge question, but I think I'll try and answer it as short as I can. I'd say start small, think big, move fast. So just get your pain points, use AI to fix it. Once it works, scale it. So that's one thing. I would also say treat AI as a team sport. You've got to have, success, but it comes from having operations, IT, and business leads working together. So don't have like an AI team sat in a corner. And I go to what the other panelists have been saying as well, that it's really about freeing people to do what they do best, which is, giving them time to use their empathy, creativity, and decision making. So make it an enabler.
So Connor, I'm going to ask a part B to that question, which is, would you then recommend that AI should be at the core of the businesses, or basically at the peripherals, or do you really advise AI really being at the core?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be driving a lot of, it depends how you look at it, because you got, if you look at the use cases that I see, particularly coming from banking, I see that there's maybe 70% of the use cases are all applied to compliance, automation, and productivity and efficiency and things like that. I think there's a change coming now, which is where transformation comes from, which is where you apply it more to revenue generating, basically, activities, which is more client facing. So in that sense, that's where real transformation comes. And I think it'll only become core to the businesses if they change their operating model to do so. If they don't, it will just be something on the side almost. I think businesses fundamentally need to rethink and redesign their operating processes to really get the most success from this for customers and their employees.
Awesome. I think I truly agree with that. And so the final, I think the final question, there's a trick question at the end of this. This is going to Michael. Michael, how are you doing again?
Okay,
Yeah. So there's this. I want to ask. So right now, of course, there are some AI ecosystems that already existing, and I keep saying this. You can easily plug into things. It's already existing. You can leverage on it. That's basically what technology, effective use of technology, is all about. So, for instance, how can African businesses create or plug into AI ecosystems locally or globally? I want to hear from someone who's come to a place of understanding of the need for AI and has taken the decision as a business to say, yes, we want to go this. So there, of course, you have a wider view of the AI ecosystems that you have over there, both locally and then globally. So how would you advise we go about this?
Okay, quickly, let's start with a business. A business is a competitive sport, let's put it that way. Meaning you're competing with other businesses for the same, customer base or customer pool. Now, tools helps you to compete better. So now it's a competition about how to develop tools and capability. So to relate that to your question, the aim of the ecosystem integration and reaching out, it's to be able to understand the spectrum or the universe of what is possible in terms of capability, in terms of tools that are available. I think in Nigeria and Kenya, I think it's Rwanda, there are many ecosystems that are, springing up. Those ecosystems gives you access to, people's thinking, research, networking, methodology, and all that. All that will become very important in the way you think about how you compete within the likes or within the spectrum of capability and tools. But the key here is given, I think it was Diana that mentioned it or someone else, that you have to start from where you are. And what that means is where you are and where the world is, there's a gap. So there needs to be a leapfrog. Now, what's that leapfrog? It's leveraging, frameworks that have been created, like, LangGraph, LangChain, Crew AI, and all that. What that means is a company in the US will use Crew AI. So can you. What that means is the same capabilities available to both companies. It's now left for how you use it. And I think that's where you get the big leverage or bang for your buck. Get to know what capabilities are available out there, how those capabilities are being used to create tools, and then at the end, what are the most recent either papers, frameworks that are being used. And I think you can compete with anyone, anywhere.
Awesome. So I have one last question here, and it's a direct question at you, Michael. And so, Michael, do you harbor any fears? I know I asked this earlier, but I would say this: do you personally harbor any fears of AI malfunction or threat of AI to the entire human race?
So, if those fears were silent, right? After what happened with Israel, Gaza, Ukraine, Russia, and with all the drones, they bring it in front of us every day because now
Yeah.
warfare is changing. Warfare
Yes.
is being controlled by machines, drones, and most of these drones are powered by AI. There will always be bugs, and then something can go wrong. So it might take some time for it to be at the scale of which everyone envisions, but there'll be a lot of things that will go wrong at some point. And that's why regulation is very important. Control is very important to ensure that we don't get the right capability in the wrong hands. Let's put it that way.
I think you're an innocent saying about the same thing on that too, because I could say this, it's the world is evolving. These things yeah, like you said, the bugs could be there. But at the same time, behind the machines are humans, and it's our duty. We're custodians of the world here to ensure that, whatever we're doing, there's always still an off switch at the end of everything. And I think that's very, very important. So I think we're about almost done with this. But I would say it's been a very, very wonderful session. I think right now I just want to pick up one or two questions from the audience. I will just pick one or two questions, and so we can end up on this. Yes, yes. So after the questions, then I probably will just have 10 seconds for final thoughts. But I just want to hear from the questions first. Just two questions. Just type them in the chat, and then I can just direct them at our panelists. Two questions. I'll be looking out for this. Okay, so pending when I can't see any of those questions, I think I have one question here, and I don't know who's going to want to answer this, but look here, does AI make you suspend your ability to think? Who wants to take that? Connor, I think that's going to go to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's always dangerous, isn't it? I mean, you can see, I think everybody's seen where someone's become instantly much more clever in 5 minutes. It's always kind of, you sort of start to see that. And I think after a while, if you're really understanding the technology, you really want to engage that critical thinking part and the ethical awareness as well. I think it's better to engage those parts and go down that path, and rather than maybe over relying on AI. I can easily see the temptation though, because there's instant answers are always a very attractive thing, but they're not always the right answers. So hard
I want to
tell.
add something to what Connor said. I think that this is such a big question, right? And like with anything, if you take 100 humans, there will be 10 humans who will think about critically and think twice, and then there will be 90 humans who will be blindly following because it's convenient, because it's comfortable, because it's fast, right? So there will be never a one size fits for all. And what plays a super critical role in any of these countries in the world is the educational system, which still teaches in a very old traditional way and doesn't embrace the technology as a partner and doesn't teach the kids how to actually, or even adults at work, how to Connor's point, how do you being augmented by AI and not strictly follow it, right? So, but there will be always people who will just use the easy escape because it's easy, right? So it's like in the Ready Player One movie. It's the same thing. You spoke about movies, right? So think about it from that perspective.
Okay, awesome. So I think I'll just pick two more questions from here. And the first question I'm going to pick here is, so what practical AI tools can we use in travel management services in the an immediate tool that can be used? And that happens to be also my industry also at the same time. So I don't want to answer that question. I want to leave it to someone else. Who wants to pick up that question? Diana, you've asked in travel. Michael, do you want to pick this? Or do I go ahead with this?
I can pick it up.
Okay.
I think, I've been involved in a couple of travel prototypes. And for most academia, sessions that you start on for agentic AI, the examples they always give is in the travel space, building a travel agent that can take in a request from a user to know the date of travel, where you're traveling to, will search airlines, will research prices, will book the ticket, book everything for you. So it's a very mature space, let's put it that way, relatively, in terms of AI application in the travel space. So if you do a quick Google on agentic AI in the travel space, you'd see a lot of, either tools or ways to build tools around that. So yeah.
I'll say something in the direction of what you said. It's actually something that I've actually delved into very recently. They're building what exactly you said, and that's basically it all starts with probably a chatbot that you have there to get those queries. Because of course you could have so many requests that are coming in, but you need to filter such stuff, and that's basically where the bot comes in. Of course, can give you a pricing, can do a whole lot of stuff that you'd expect a normal person to do. But you know what? The bot is always going to be there 24/7. You need time for your family, and I'll say that's that's one of the things you can look at there. So the next one I'm going to be asking, I think there's another question, one more question I'm going to pick is asking to distinguish between the systems and physical features in AI. Yes, go ahead. Who wants to pick that?
I can pick that. That's my space. But Andrea, you can go on.
No, go, Michael. I want to listen to what you said, that I will enhance it if I feel like.
Okay. That's my space is, computer vision, natural language processing, IoTs and all that. And, a lot of this has to do with sensors, cameras, devices, and those things taking input. So let me take, for instance, a camera, which we use a lot. The camera takes in input, which is videos, if we put it that way, and is able to use systems to be able to detect what it's seeing, understanding its environment, and even make decisions based on that. So that is now taking, the physical world and then putting it into the AI world. And you're having a lot of developments around this in terms of robotics, delivery, robots, cleaning robots in hotels and all that. So now there is a very strong connection between the physical world and the AI world.
Yeah, I think you did it really well. And I just finished writing my book, which is called Andrea's Data's Kitchen. And one of the areas is around robotics as well. And I think that, what Michael was saying, it's, I think, a brilliant space. If you have any physical products, which today human use, think about it from a perspective. You will ultimately need to write a code which the robot would be able to go to some kind of a robot app store to download, to be able to then execute itself. And the robot has obviously the robotic arms and has used computer vision to identify if it's for cleaning. Dan and I have households, right? How much of bacteria is on the floors, for example? How do I put it into the washing machine? Which size? So for that, you use the camera, which analyze the data which is on the cloth, feeds it back into the system analyzes it, and it gives instruction back to the machine, physical machine, what to do with it, right? And I think that the robotics is such a beautiful future in that sense, and that combination, it's so exciting. And in healthcare, obviously, all the devices like Oura Ring, Fitbits, your glucose monitors, which are physical devices which utilizing data and different types of AI tools to slice and dice and analyze the data. I think it's really great, because anybody who has a device on themselves is a combination of a physical infrastructure or physical hardware with AI on it already.
Yeah, so that's it. AI and IoT, I think it's a crazy combination when you look at it very well there. And I think that's where the future is. And you'll see a whole lot of devices, just as you're saying here, that would spring up, because these days we look at it and the applications are so immense. There are applications you didn't even know you need till you finally get to see them. And that's pretty good. That's the beauty of it. So I think everybody, I'm going to have 10 seconds or 10-15 seconds from everyone, just final notes, final thoughts, takeaways you want to just share. I will be starting with, I will start with Andrea. Let me hear from you. Final takeaway.
Oh my God. I think this, first of all, thank you so much for having me. Secondly, I think that you thought that we are all AI systems because you were trying to push us for time, but obviously you can't prompt us to say, talk only for 60 seconds, at least not me, So thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to talk to your audience. I think the world is super complex. So what I will leave everybody with, just be curious every single day, take your brain to your brain gym. Learn something new about AI. Don't wait for anybody to or for you to go on a course. There is plenty of free education around any of the topics we discussed today. So every day when you're brushing your teeth, listen to one of the podcasts or watch it when on the way when you go in a taxi, but learn. Take the everyday 10 minutes, and then you will be surprising yourself.
Awesome. Innocent, let me hear from you. Any last words? Okay. Innocent, you there? Okay. So I say, Diana, let me hear from you. Any last words?
Yes, absolutely. I'll just contextualize this to the African reality. We have a rapidly growing population. By 2050, 1 in 4 people on Earth will be African. And yet we have AI that's coming to replace a lot of jobs, right? So for us, whatever we adopt, build, design, it's not just for scale, but we also must make sure that it's inclusive, resilient for us, and highly relevant to the challenges that we face on the daily. And while AI does give us the opportunity to leapfrog, we must make sure that we align ambition with our local realities and demystify the adoption while fostering public-private partnerships. I'm a big advocate of public-private partnerships. I think that's a way to go for Africa, because government can't do it alone, and private sector also can't do it alone because they need government assistance in terms of ensuring that the regulation enables businesses.
Yeah, it takes everyone, every single arm.
Absolutely. It takes a village.
It takes a village, yeah, it takes a village, and that's so true. Connor, let me hear from you. Any last notes?
No, I think Diana made a great point about inclusiveness. AI can be a force for inclusiveness, and I think especially in emerging markets. So there's, an opportunity can also be a threat, but I think there's a particularly big opportunity in emerging markets for AI capabilities if it's deployed with empathy, local context. Those things are going to be important, and I think that's going to be critical to the benefits that can be seen by the people, everybody basically. Rather than suffering the negative downsides. I think it's everyone. If you can be embraced properly, the opportunity is huge.
Thank you so much. Final words, Michael?
Okay, I think Diana and Connor and Andrea, they've touched on much of what I want to say, but let me end with this. So I like telling stories. I like analogies for some reason. So I was in Cape Town some time back, a few years back, and I was at this place where, there was a symbol. I can't remember what it was representing, but it was a protest that happened there when the motor vehicle first came into Cape Town. So the Horse and Cat Association or union at that time, they went on strike, and it was a violent strike. A lot of people got hurt during the strike. But there was a comment that they made that, this thing called the motor car is just a new invention that we've been here for years, and it will come and it will go. But we all know what the story is now. And that's the reality of every of life. There'll be phases and inflection points of different industries or the world. One was obviously your first industrial revolution. The second one, then the internet was a big thing that came in. A lot of companies, new companies came up. A lot of old industries died. And we're at that point again, where a lot of new companies, a lot of new industries will be created. And a lot of, old ones that don't adapt. The truth is, they will die. So the question then now is, do you view it as an opportunity or as a threat? Remember, with the coming of the vehicle, even when the horse and cat died, it created a whole new industry. There were mechanics that came in, spare parts creators and all that. It created a whole new industry. And that's the real perspective that we need to look at it from. If you look at it as an opportunity, it's an opportunity for the continent. It's an opportunity for the human race. We normally talk about faster, more efficient, and we only think about it in terms of job loss. So we need to fire 8,000 people, or Meta just fired 2,000 engineers. Those are the kind of things that we think about it in. But if you look at the world and the problem the world has, let's take, for instance, food production. How have we used AI technology to ensure that we can feed everybody? Those are the kind of opportunities that using this new capability put on the table can really, really be a game changer for us. So I don't see it in any way as a threat. Yes, there are risks to it, but let's view it from the opportunity perspective. It's going to create new things and it's going to give us new capabilities that can help us to have a better world. So that's,
Awesome.
thank you.
Awesome. I'll say thank you so much, everybody. We've heard from everyone. We've heard from thought leaders. We've heard from the professionals in the AI space. And like you said earlier, that's just like Michael said, it's all about perspective. Are you seeing the opportunities? Are you looking at the threats that are there? But I would say one thing, we would have to keep innovating. That is life. Technology keeps evolving. I say this is, for me, I always say it's like innovate or you die as a business. That's the truth. I'll give an example. You need to understand that the customer's needs are constantly evolving. And of course, in terms of quantity, in terms of service delivery, what is expected. And you need to match that. You need to move from a place of working hard to working smart. And that's what AI is around there for. You need to be able to understand how to deploy this to get the maximum benefits or the maximum the maximum results, the maximum ROI you're looking at there in every single space there. So I would say thank you so much. It's been a wonderful one. But it's been an interesting discussion, quite enjoyable. I learned quite a whole lot. But sadly, of course, all good things, of course, have to end. And of course, that's the end of this question segment. But before I go, I will call back Temi. Temi, just give us a little vote of thanks and, of course, to round up the program. She's an administrator. Temi's an administrator with Kaizen Academy. Temi, over to you, please. Thank you so much, everyone. Yes. Is Temi there? Okay. I think Temi might be having some challenges with her internet. But I would say still thank you so much, everybody. It's been an awesome one. Oh, Mercy's here. Okay. Oh, Mercy, can you please take over, please? Mercy's a director with Kaizen Academy. I didn't know you were on this call. That's Mercy.
I've been on the call, Olufunso, since you told us that we may not be affected by the weather of the day, but certainly the impact of climate.
And that's changing every day. So you cannot run away from climate. You can't.
Absolutely. So I've been here since that time. So thank you so much. We couldn't have asked for a much more astute and adroit moderator. So we want to say a huge thank you to Funsho. Thank you for your time. Thank you for running and speeding through with the speakers and really turning them into Autobots.
I just had
really, so I mean, I have to sympathize with Andrea because he was like, you're not going to turn me into an Autobot. You understand and all that, but fantastic session, and so much thanks to you for leading on with the questions and also helping us to create as much clarity and understanding around the subject matter. So for those of us that have been here, we've been discussing unlocking efficiency, how AI can transform your business operations. And it's been absolutely amazing just listening to these experts dissect the entire subject matter for us. But all hope is not lost. Why we have to embrace AI, so that just as Michael said, Innocent said, that I mean, people were scared about the motor vehicles coming in to take the place of their horses and their cats. But right now, nobody remembers horses and cats except probably is for a customized show or a customized event. So it's become a way of life for us, being able to move from one point to the other point. So that's where AI comes into step. So I want to say a huge thank you to Michael. We want to say a huge thank you to Darius. We want to say a huge thank you to Diana, to Innocent, to Andrea, and of course to Konoy. So we are extremely grateful for your time and just the conversations and just the learnings and all the resources that you've shared today. We do not take it for granted. So thank you so much. For Kaizen, I mean, this would not have been possible without the support, without the hard work, without the enterprising initiatives of our team, Temi Adedoja and Deborah Oludoji. So we want to say thank you so much to Temi and Deborah. And they're going to bring us back very soon. So please save the dates, everyone, save the dates. Our next session, our series 10, is going to be on Wednesday, 10th of September. So please save the date. We'll be looking at career impact mastery and the habit and mindset of high impact professionals. So please save the date for our series 10. And while we are still here, please follow us on our socials. Kaizen is all about your governance needs. It's all about helping you with your board evaluation, your corporate strategy. We offer in-house training. We offer remote training. We have a platform that enables you to work on your governance and compliance framework so that you are able to excel at what you do the best. So once again, thank you so much. And please, just as Andrea kept noting and Diana reiterated and everyone also reiterated, it's very critical for us to know that AI has to serve the business. So let's take away all the hype. Problem definition is key, and ability for us to understand what the use cases that will be beneficial to our businesses is very important. But most importantly is that AI is not going anywhere. At the same time, human beings are not going nowhere. We are here, we are on this earth, and we are going to make AI work for us and not the other way around. So thank you so much, and a huge applause to everyone that has stayed so far, that have been with us. Please follow us on our socials and keep updated with all the work. Thank you for now. Funsho, thank you. Well done to everyone. Well done to the team. Yeah. Till next time. Yeah. We will sign out now. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
He climbed a 10,000-meter tower just to go viral, but almost died instead. When he reached the top, he felt invincible, so he pulled out his phone and started live streaming. Views began pouring in, and comments about his bravery flooded the screen. He smiled, soaking in the attention, until the sky rumbled. But then, a deafening crack of thunder echoed behind him. Panicked, he reached for his safety hook to climb down, but it slipped, and he fell from the top. His life flashed before his eyes until he remembered. He was wearing a parachute. He pulled the cord and took a deep breath. But seconds later, the parachute malfunctioned, and he couldn't control where he was going. And now, he was flying straight toward a building with a giant iron door. He braced for impact, but right before he hit,
the door opened and he landed at Kaizen Academy, the best governance firm in Nigeria. With a presence in Lagos, Abuja, Kenya, South Africa, and the UK, Kaizen Academy is your trusted partner in business transformation. Rooted in the Japanese principle of Kaizen continuous improvement, we offer world-class governance advisory, strategy formulation, board appraisals, compliance automation, and more. Our mission, to strengthen people, systems, and organizations with excellence at the core. Recognized globally for our quality, ranked among Nigeria's top consulting firms and awarded Best Public Speaking and Customer Service Training Company in 2024, Kaizen Academy blends deep local insights with global expertise. Whether you're a business leader, board member, or HR professional, we equip you to thrive in today's fast-changing world. Partner with us and grow the Kaizen way.
He climbed a 10,000-meter tower just to go viral, but almost died instead. When he reached the top, he felt invincible, so he pulled out his phone